We do know that very many listeners right now, because of course we can tap into future timelines. And even though this is being recorded presently, we can tap into the listeners who will listen to this now and in the future. And we want you all to know that every single one of you has a distinct mission here on Earth. Every single one of you has a unique light and energetic signature that is needed. Mother Gaia needs you. We need you. The Lyrans are saying that, and all of your galactic guides are saying that as well. We need you to be in your highest frequency and to be in your highest joy. So if you take anything from this podcast episode, please understand that you are light. I had just literally hit my head on the pillow and I was very much conscious and awake. And this Reppy walks into my bedroom. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And the reason I knew it was a Reppy is because, of course, it's one of those things where you have to trust your intuition. And the more you open your channel and your psychic abilities, you just experience these things a little bit more. So not just trusting of the energy and trusting in my own intuition, but also like I heard the word Reppy in my mind. And so that's how I knew. I actually heard the physical footsteps walk in. Even though it's a non-physical entity, they can still make their appearance known to scare you even more by making outside noises. When you send these negative forces true, authentic love, and you actually mean it and you feel it from your heart chakras, they will either get away from you or you'll actually send it into the light. You'll be able to transmute that energy. You need to start being your authentic self, and the most authentic you are, then the universe is going to align you to the frequency you're meant to be on.
Welcome back to the Kotodama podcast. Over here we explore the mystical, and my guest today is Christine from Coming Out Cosmic. She is an ET contactee, she's a channel and an awakening coach, and she helps people on their whole journey of awakening, extraterrestrial contact, and all that good stuff. I'm so excited to have you here, Christine, with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
I'm so happy. I'm obsessed with your Instagram. I'm obsessed with the content you put out there. You talk about ET channelings. You talk about these entities. You sit sometimes with your dad and with your beautiful baby, I believe. And I'm just like, this is so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I like, just to start off there, like, how did you, because the name of your channel is Coming Out Cosmic, which I feel like that is what it is today. We have to kind of come out as spiritual. We have to come out as like someone who contacts ETs or contacts, angelic, whatever, beings. So how was that process for you?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because to be honest, I do get the question a lot about where did the name come from, Coming Out Cosmic. So I'll kind of start there. And I will say that the name Coming Out Cosmic came to me in a meditation. And the second that I heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is the name of everything that I represent. This is the name of what I embody and everything that Coming Out Cosmic as a company stands for. And so to give a little bit of a background about where Coming Out Cosmic came from, Coming Out Cosmic began with this need to start talking authentically about my experiences online, on TikTok mostly, but then I started Coming Out Cosmic and sharing my ET experiences on Instagram, on YouTube, on Threads, etc. And then I started talking to my dad about my journey of Coming Out Cosmic and how I'm an ET contactee. And then he started his journey of Coming Out Cosmic by telling me, hey, I'm a contactee too, which I had no idea he was. So that's basically where it started. It was a push for my higher self. Like, I had these various ET experiences and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just keep these to myself. I have to. I had to start sharing it publicly.
That's so brave as well, because I feel like as well, like I really feel you with the podcast even, like I am also here as a host, but I am here also as to have a conversation. I talk about my own experiences, and I know it can be so scary, but I feel like, and I want to know if you feel the same way, because like, I feel like now's the time, kind of. I feel like we're all pushed even more, as you said, like you felt this push from your higher self to do the content. I also feel this push, and I feel like it feels less scary.
Yes.
And also, yeah, what you said with your dad as well is so cool, because I feel like if you don't talk about it, you never know who's also on this journey and who has experienced this as well. Do you agree?
Oh my God, yeah, you'd be so surprised. I had no idea. I mean, I'm 32. I lived 32 years without knowing that my dad is an ET contactee. Not only is he a contactee, but he also saw aliens in this 3D physical reality, which is actually quite rare. Typically, we see them in the dream state or in a multidimensional state. And so his contact was very wild. And so you just never know who is on the same journey. And unless you say something, unless you plant a seed, then people aren't going to speak up because it is just not normalized in society. And that's what Coming Out Cosmic really stands for, is normalizing the strange and allowing for people to start stepping up and sharing their experiences authentically.
And I think that's so important. And I think this like whole shift that's happening, right? Like I want to talk a little bit about that. And um, do you agree or do you think, because this is my theory on it, but I like to flip flop with all of my thoughts and beliefs and theories. So, but my belief right now is that I think the whole frequency of the planet is kind of raising. And I feel like humans are waking up at such a speed.
Yes.
It's so crazy to me. And do you agree in that? Do you think there's a push as well from the ETs to help us with
Yeah.
this thing?
Yeah. So definitely, I would agree that the frequency is rising. Actually, what people might notice in their daily life, because it's easy to talk about this concept and be like, oh, the frequency is rising, but a lot of people don't know what this looks like just in their day to day. So, what I would recommend people start paying attention to is, are certain relationships in your life changing? Are some things completely being ripped away from you that were no longer serving you? Are you randomly finding that old friendships with people that maybe don't have your best intentions are seemingly leaving you? It's wild because as the frequency rises in our day-to-day life, you will also find that things that no longer serve you, things that are in a lower vibration, are not meant for you, and so they're just kind of disappearing or they're leaving you. So a lot of people are actually experiencing losing people in many different ways, or they're experiencing losing their job, etc. But this is one of the ways that we can actually see and experience this rise in frequency, among with so many other ways as well.
Yeah, that's such a cool way. That's really tangible how you explain that, because I feel like a lot of people who are new to this journey of awakening, they don't know where to start, and it's like your relationships, and it's like also your life, and I think like a lot of these things that we see in the spiritual realm is kind of what we see as well in the physical realm. And I kind of want to talk to you as well about spiritual discernment in a bit, but I was thinking when you just said, the relationships and the jobs are falling apart, I can so relate. I just literally quit my 9 to 5 job a few like weeks ago.
Congrats.
Thank you. But I don't have any, I mean, I'm not like making money from this yet. So it's just like a big
You
leap,
will.
but I kind of, thank you. I just kind of needed, it was actually really bad for my health and everything. It was crazy. And I actually had an experience, and I said this on the show before, where I was taken out of body by my, you know, spirit guides and like as well a cosmic family, and they kind of showed me the 9 to 5 system, and it was like a modern slave system set up by
Ah,
ETs, specifically like reppies,
yep,
I will
yep,
call
yep.
them, because like so that YouTube will not like flag because I get so
Oh,
annoyed by this Wikipedia thing that they put there, and so do you agree, and do you think that the system is kind of just like set up not for humanity or something?
110,000%. Oh my gosh, but it's so hard to talk to people within the 9 to 5 as well about this, because I find that not only is there this 9 to 5 system of enslavement that we're all used to, because we're used to it, people just continue to believe and believe that nothing's ever going to change. And then humans start to fall into a victim mentality. So, yes, I believe that the system was definitely set up by the reppies. However, I think that humans need to take radical responsibility for the way in which we're keeping ourselves enslaved. Because, and I'm getting full body chills as I say that. So I'm like, okay, the
Me
ETs are
too.
kind of talking and chiming in here, where it's like, you know, because people wake up to the fact that 9 to 5 is no longer good for them. Maybe they even understand and believe in the theories about the reppies, but I believe it's 100% true and not even a theory. However, sometimes people know all of this and they just don't do anything. They become a victim. So that's something to watch out for. If you are feeling unaligned in any aspect of your life, whether it's the 9 to 5 or a specific relationship, as we're ascending higher and higher, you need to take radical responsibility to do what you can to get yourself out of whatever systems we've been enslaved in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think people get really, really triggered sometimes about this. And because I talk about like victim mentality as well, what I mean is, I'm not saying that you have never been victimized as a human. Like we all have been victimized. We all have trauma. Like I understand that so deeply. I have so much compassion and empathy for everybody. But at one point, we have to start doing the inner work so that we can empower ourselves. And I talked with Dr. C about this as well when she was on the podcast, which is like, um, it's kind of like, yes, you have been a victim. And at the same time, you have never really been a victim because you have so much power. We have so much power that we can pretend we don't have any power. But
Hmm.
the responsibility you talk about is so important, right? Like people just kind of sit there in the system and in the shit and kind of
Yeah.
pretend that, okay, well, this happened to me. So now I can't do anything about it. It's like, yeah, it happened to you in a way, but like also you can do something about it. Like even if it's just a little bit, right?
Yeah, and absolutely one of the ways that you can try to break out of the system or at least get different perspectives or guidance is actually to call on your ET guides who are benevolent and wanting to help you to break out of that system. And so there's so much that I can say about ET guides and ETs in general, but I'm wondering now if there's any other specific way you want to take the convo.
Yeah, so let's talk about those ET guides. I would love to. So, you talk about the reppies, but before we go there, I mean, what are some of the like benevolent, I guess, like helpful guides that you have seen, if you want to label them? And also, how can people kind of know the difference sometimes? Because I sometimes don't know really the difference. I just know they are benevolent and they're helpful, but like I couldn't tell you often like where they're from and what kind of ETs they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's okay. It's okay not to know because it is a journey. Awakening is a journey. And so that information is given to you mostly when you are ready for it. And so, what I've found with my ET guides in particular, I have guides from Lyra. So, they're better known as the Lyrans or the Lyrans. They say they don't care how you pronounce their name, it's Lyrans or Lyrans. And they're lion people. And so, those are the ones that I primarily channel. Now, they come through with I'm trying to explain how I know. The first time that I met the Lyrans were in a sleep paralysis episode. So I've had sleep paralysis since 2014. And that's when my ET contact started. But this sleep paralysis episode was actually not too long ago. A couple months ago, I met the Lyrans because I only started channeling a couple months ago. It was a gift that just completely blew up when I started working with a spiritual mentor. In case anybody's interested in who this person is, her name is Rebecca Vidnoff. You might consider having her on your podcast, by the way. She's an excellent galactic volunteer, channel, etc. So in the sleep paralysis, that's when I first met the Lyrans. And as I was working with my spiritual mentor, which I highly recommend for anybody who wants to get into the journey of channeling, once I started working with Rebecca, she was helping me piece together exactly who these entities were. So that's how I met the Lyrans. I also channel the Arcturians. That's one of my primary lineages as well. I love them. They're so funny because they have such a dry humor. And that's how I know that they're coming in because of the way that they speak through me. It's not just their energy that I can feel is like different, but it's the way that they speak through me. They've got such dry humor. And I've also got an Andromedan guides. Like I feel like most people have multiple galactic guides and they present themselves when you're ready to know them.
Yeah, I agree. I also have a strong connection to the Arcturians. They always come through because I do a lot of healing.
I
Um,
love
yeah, I love them. But so what would you say, like, is the ratio of like benevolent and malevolent? Because I feel like, okay, this is okay. Let I will let you first answer that because there's somewhere I want to go with this. But like, what do you think? Because I think some people are scared, you know?
Yeah, okay, so what is the ratio? Hold on. I'm actually kind of asking if they wanted to chime in and see. Hmm, okay. Um, so I would say with the guidance that I'm getting from my team right now, it's pretty evenly split between benevolent, malevolent, and neutral. So there are neutral beings who are just observing. They don't care what happens to humanity, they're just observing. However, I would say if we were to put like not a number, but if I were to say if it's higher benevolent versus malevolent, I'd say that there's more benevolent beings right now because of the raise in the vibration of the planet.
Yeah, and I think, okay, ooh, okay, how do I word all of my thoughts that I have right now? Because I think open contact is coming soon.
Yeah.
And I think there might be psyops.
Mm.
I'm not sure if we could trust what the media, we can never trust the media. Okay. Like if you're watching my podcast right now and you're watching Christine and Coming Out Cosmic, like, you guys know you cannot trust the media at all. It's a full on psyop brainwashing machine. But like, even if, right, we would see something on TV, like how I don't want people to be scared of this. So I'm thinking, you know, what can we do to kind of get that, to lower the fear and the resistance that people have, from all of this media and movies that make us scared of this like alien takeover and wars and stuff. So what would you say to that?
Oh my God. Well, first and foremost, shut off the TV. That is going to be so important is shut off the TV. Don't listen to anything. Don't listen to anything that the TV, the media is saying. And always listen. If you are going to listen, always listen with discernment in your heart. And so what I mean by that is you don't want to take something at face value and just like listen to something because of the shock value of it and then feed into the shock value of it. Because I feel like the media and other things on TV, social media, other people like who are content creators who might not be as in tune, but want to feed into a specific narrative, I think they're going to lean into the value of shock, which typically stems from fear. Like when you're in shock, there's typically a fear component to it. So if something truly shocks you and scares you, turn it off because that is not the way that open contact is meant to come from the benevolent ETs. Like they're not going to want to shock us because they know that's going to put the majority of humanity within the fear frequency that's not of our benefit. And so when it comes to open contact, which open contact is already happening, but I know that you mean more of like a big majority. Most people are going to see and believe, etc. So I think we still have some time yet for that. For people who want to prepare for that type of moment, I would definitely recommend that they start asking for open contact in an individual way, using their own free will for the highest good of all involved to ask for alien contact so they are less afraid and they will come to you. I promise. They are waiting to be called on. You must use your free will and you must ask for it in the highest good because you don't want malevolent entities to come your way.
For sure. And this is so cool that you say that because honestly, I do that all the time. I have such high boundaries. So I was like, guys, I want you to show me like a message and I need to know in this way, but don't scare me. I want it to be gentle and I want it to be this. Like, I'm very like specific on even my guides. I'm like, show me the sign, give me the nudge, but like make it gentle, make it like this. Like, I'm so specific. Like, I swear you can be so specific with the universe. It is your universe. Like, it is us all in this co-creation together, but it's like you are at the center of your own experience. So I really do that. And I think people often don't know that they can do that. If something is scary to you, you know, of course, there's also this thing of like, I think we are meant to, like, I feel like if we're having an experience of fear, I think we're meant to transmute or transform that fear. And there's always a reason why we feel fearful, right? Like, because I'm thinking, I've had people as well who told me they had a benevolent ET come up, but they felt fear because it was so unknown.
Yep. Fear of the unknown typically takes over. Yes. And then you get into the fact that we have been programmed to be so analytical and second guess ourselves. And so, oh, was it really ET contact? You have to verify, fact check, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff, even using works cited and references in school, I think is a way in which they were able to program us to always double check something that, we already know intuitively. So that's why it's so important to use your intuition, your feeling center when you are having connection and contact with aliens, because it's it's for most people it's going to happen on the feeling level instead of like seeing physically. So I don't want people to worry about like, oh, an alien's going to walk right in front of me. I think that the vibration of the planet's not quite high enough for them to come down here. I've actually talked to the Arcturians were telling a client in a one-on-one session, he was like, "Can you please walk in front of me?" And the Arcturian that I was channeling was like, "No, it's too uncomfortable. It's way too dense here for us right now. We cannot show ourselves in our physical form in the way that you want us to. We're here in other ways, but we can't do that yet, or we don't want to. It's a comfort thing."
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is absolutely. And it must be so uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable for me. Like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I'm rested, but like I feel drained. Like this is, So I was thinking actually about that the other day. I was like, this frequency is not, of course, and everyone who's here to change the system as we are. And I think actually everyone who's watching as well is meant to change the system as well. It's like, you know, we want to see change. And I think, yeah, it's just, it's difficult sometimes to be on Earth, even for humans. So, of course. And then I'm also thinking, this is the thing, right? Like, we are so trained to second guess ourselves. And I feel like people often don't know the difference, or they want to know, okay, was it my intuition? Was it my imagination? And I'm like, there's no really a difference. It's kind of like imagination is creation. It is the ultimate, everything is thought. The
Yeah.
universe is a big thought, if you think about it that way. So how would you kind of like, what do you tell your clients or, people who watch and listen is like, what would you tell them of how to just, I guess, get closer to that knowing?
Oh, well, first, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice and trusting of your intuition. And so, the way that I actually first started trusting my intuition was through metaphysical and divination tools. Like, I started actually reading tarot and oracle cards when I was 19. And I would be like, okay, like, show me this card, show me this card. And like, cards would come flying out. And through using different divination tools like that, I started trusting more of not just like my own intuition, but the universe. Because I think that people in the 3D mostly need a physical thing that can help them with this type of trust. So one might consider using pendulums as well to kind of tap in with the universe, or there's those dowsing rods as well that people use. So sometimes a tangible item can help. However, it does take practice. Meditation has opened up a lot for me as well. I would recommend meditation. Is there anything that you did specifically to open up and to trust yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Me as well, tarot cards, but I also read tarot cards still now. I love it.
Yeah.
I do meditation as well. I did a lot of over the years. I talk about this on my channel a lot, but I did a lot of shamanic soul retrieval. I'm a shadow worker. So for me, yeah, I'm a inner child healing girly. So the more I did that, the more I just know. I don't, because like I realized it is all a brainwash. It is a trauma response and a brainwash and all of these things, like doubting ourselves, getting away from self love is just, I've just healed a lot of that. I'm still on the journey, girl. Okay, there's still so much to work on, but like, I just don't have that doubt anymore often. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I know that this is the way it is because I feel it,
Oh, I
But
love that.
yeah, but like, I know most people cannot really probably relate to this because I know that the average person doesn't do as much shadow work as I did. But I can really recommend shadow work as well and meditation, as you said.
Shadow work is so fascinating. I'm so happy that you brought this up because that's something that I talk to my mentor about all the time. Because as somebody who channels, of course, you still experience self doubt. And so she'll help me through and talk me through my channel and how I can detach from my channel so that other entities can come in, because the only reason why somebody who is and channeling is just trusting your intuition as well, trusting the flow of information coming to you. So it's really no different from using tarot cards. It's a different method of connecting to higher consciousness. And so when she talks me through all of that, we talk through different self-doubts, and I can highly recommend shadow work in that way as well, because it does make you an extremely accurate and intuitive channel reader and whatever you want to become. It's very helpful.
Yeah, because Okay, so because the thing is, people are always so scared, right, of these like malevolent ETs, and oh my God, and how do I know it's a demon? How do I know if it's an angel? And like, I get it, and I want to talk about spiritual discernment. I think it's really important, like discernment and sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty, discernment. But like, I think I go about it in this shadow work kind of way where I'm like, I heal all of these parts of me that think they are in danger. And by the way, I
Oh,
had this
yeah.
that I had this thing, Christine, I have to tell you. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to interview you, but like I had this thing where I was like, is the Galactic Federation actually malevolent? Because like people were like, no. Some people are like, no, you don't trust the Galactic Federation. Other people are like, no, they're great, whatever. And I asked them whatever, and then this like Arcturian being like came through and was like basically put me into my fear. And I realized it was a childhood trauma, but more though to say it was a trauma from me being in the womb, being completely out of control when my mother was in distress, because babies feel everything that the mother feels. And I was in this like womb trauma. And so I came out of that and I did the healing and I was like, damn, the Arcturian really put me through that, because when you still think you can be, how can I explain this? I still was in this fear of like, are they malevolent and are they here to harm us? But not realizing that that fear came from me as a being, as a child, being out of control, and do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. And for some reason, um, when you were talking about this, I got full body chills, and I feel like that's a resonance for me in particular. I feel like there's some womb trauma that I need to look into, maybe because I'm a triplet. And so I'm like, maybe, yeah, I just, now that you say that though, I'm like, there's got to be some sort of, isn't that wild? Thank God bless my mother and my father.
Oh my God, like twins is already crazy, but triplets?
Yeah, and it's funny because I've actually tapped in with my friend before I started channeling. I tapped in with my friend who channels, and I was like, why did I come in as a triplet? And the story goes that me and my brothers all saw an opening, and we all ran for that one opening, which was my mother. And so it's kind of funny because, multiple births, like the whole birthing process is so it's so beautiful, but it's always so meant to be, including the womb trauma that you're talking about. Like everything's always meant to be. It's just so fascinating to me.
It is, and I'm not a mother yet myself, but like I am so fascinated by everything, and like the whole birth process as it is in the hospitals is quite traumatic, I think, for many mothers. And I wish there would be more change around birth as well and stuff. But that's so cool that you guys are like all running, and it's like a lot of people talk about this, that there's so many souls, right, like lined up to
Yes.
incarnate on this planet.
Oh my God, so many. I mean, I know so many pregnant women right now. And like me myself, I had two babies back to back. I was like, these babies are coming out of nowhere.
Crazy. But yeah, okay. So what I was saying with the womb trauma, for sure, you should work on that as well, because I think everyone has womb trauma. It's not like special to have womb trauma. I think everyone has, when I say trauma, I mean distress for a baby. So, but what I was saying there is like, I think when you heal those wounds of fear of control, fear of somebody taking that away from you, often it stems from childhood. And when we heal that, I believe you are less match. You cannot really be a match, a frequency resonance, if you've healed that kind of thing, right? Like, it's like my approach there is more like shadow worky approach. But do you know what I mean? And like, how would you go about that, of this fear of people being like, who am I talking to when I channel?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I will tell you, like, I'll tell you a little bit of backstory of how I started channeling because I think this is going to quell some concerns and fears about the whole process. When I started working with my mentor, Rebecca, I think I had like 3 sessions with her. I did not have any intention to channel. Like there was nothing within me that ever even thought about it. Like I had no want to do it. I don't even I still question why and how it started happening, but everything kind of rolls in the way that it's supposed to. And so after I had been working with her for a couple of sessions, I was filming my own podcast episode, and I was holding on to my baby Maya. I was holding my microphone, and like my body started swaying. And I feel like a lot of people actually do this in meditation. Notice in meditation any sort of subtle movements that you're doing, because that could be some sort of external cosmic influence. So we're talking about fear here. So how to get over the fear of cosmic anything. Just notice the subtlety of what's happening to you in these moments. And that's how it kind of started happening to me as I started getting closer to this cosmic energy. And when I began my podcast episode for that day, I was actually talking about spiritual discernment. And it's so funny because as I was talking, I was like, hold on a second. I feel like I need to go into meditation and just speak. And so on my podcast, I have this all recorded and I'm just walking through the process because I feel like people would want to know one day how channeling just came upon my life. And so I just like closed my eyes and I just allowed for whatever to come through to come through. Now, before I did this, I did set the intention that it would be something benevolent. However, I didn't belabor the point of, oh my gosh, I need to be extra protected. Oh my gosh, I need white light. Oh my God. Like sometimes if you belabor that point and you feel as though you're not protected, yes, it is a deeper fear that needs to be discovered and healed. But for me, it happened so spontaneously. I set up my bubble and I just allowed for whatever to flow to come through. And I started speaking, and it was the Lyrans who came through me who wanted to say a message about discernment. So I share that story because for people who are in fear of connecting with ETs and learning who they're actually connecting with, I didn't know who was coming through me at all. But I trusted it because I set up some sort of protection boundaries. Again, I didn't belabor it because sometimes I feel like it could be very, very fearful if you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have all my crystals, I have to have all my guides, I have to, like, if you just feel like you're not protected. I will say that I also had a trusted mentor who I then spoke to about the experience afterwards. So having a mentor is so recommended in my opinion, mostly because I love learning from other people. So if you are fearful, then having somebody who's been experiencing and has walked the similar path or the same path as you can be extremely helpful.
For sure. I think that's such a cool story. It sounds like you just had kind of this trusting. I mean, obviously you're meant to do this. I mean, I can feel it from you, so I don't know if you would agree, but you're obviously like you're here to do that. It's crazy how that happened to you all in a matter of like a few months. And now you're here,
Oh my
you know.
God. My, if, I can't even, I literally just, I did a whole like event for, I have a school community. It's just like a separate platform. And I did a whole event for my members in there about how I was laughing because I was like, guys, I used to be normal. I from like the high upper echelons of HR corporate life. Like I was even supposed to go work for the State Department. I have a top secret security clearance from the State Department. And now all of a sudden I'm channeling aliens. I understand completely why that all fell through. And now I'm moved into this direction, but I would have never expected this.
But I love it so much because it's kind of like I love people like you though. Like I can really like I resonate with a lot of like women like yourself because I feel like we are these people who understand both sides. Like I understand the spiritual and I understand the physical very well. And I think it's also really important not to wanna just run away from everything. What I mean is like, you know, I see a lot of spiritual people completely focused out of the physical. And it's like, if you want to completely focus out of the physical, you are not alive. You know, so
Yes.
it is, I think, important to ground. It is important that we like understand these like nuances. And like, I also have a dry humor sometimes. And like, you know, I get it. I get the corporate world. You get the corporate, like, that's just the cool thing though. I think you can bridge those, like, you know, you can bridge it for people, right? Because you've been there. Like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the journey of coming out cosmic. I have a lot of clients who are like, oh my gosh, I really just want to step into spiritual work, but I'm in the 9 to 5. Like, how do I even begin? And most of my advice to them is typically, well, you need to start being your authentic self. And the most authentic you are, then the universe is going to align you to the frequency you're meant to be on. And so I will say, when I started coming out cosmic and started posting on TikTok in November 2024. This was right after I had my first baby. I was like, I'm not feeling the 9 to 5 anymore. I know I'm not meant to be here. It was just an energetic misalignment. I loved the company. I've loved all the places that I've worked for. I've been very happy and fortunate in my 3D career life, but there was a misalignment. And so I started authentically expressing myself. People were not very nice at work. People, would talk about me, as the weird alien girl now. And I was okay with that. And then the universe actually gifted me with a layoff a couple of months later. And that's the inception of Coming Out Cosmic. So when you start stepping mostly authentically into your own truth and your own beliefs and you express it in a way that you feel called, then you can actually start aligning more to what's meant for you. So that's how the journey happened a little bit for me.
That is so cool how you describe it, because it's kind of like we are already light. Do you know what I mean? Like we are already self-love. It's just that we kind of like forgot that we are. And I think like we have to sometimes like, some people say wipe the window clean, or, more than becoming light or something. I think we are light. I mean, literally, aren't we photons or something? Like, I don't know, girl, but like I heard someone talk about like some sort of quantum physicist was like that we're actually like photons and made out of light. And I was like, what? Like, this is really like,
Yeah.
literal.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's funny because they're saying so like when I'm not actively channeling, I'll get the clear audience, the psychic hearing. I think it's the Lyrans who are like, yep, that's accurate. So yeah, I guess so.
I love that. Okay, wait. Okay, so I saw this clip of you where I think you were on a podcast, or was it your own? I'm not sure, but you talked with someone about, and I love how you worded it, because that's exactly how I feel about it. It's like if something you're channeling is like demanding your respect, or you're demanding your like, what did you say, like worship, you should be, it's a red flag. Did you say that? I think you said that.
Yes. Yes. Do you want me to go into that
Please,
story?
I 100% agree. Please.
Yes. So this is spiritual discernment 101. Yes, it's a pretty cool experience that I'm thankful for because it was a malevolent entity that tried to come through my channel. So I'll back up and explain a little bit of what happened. One day I was in my living room and I was like, I just feel like channeling. And so I went into my meditation. However, I felt such an energetic pull and tug on my mouth to start channeling because I'm a voice channeler. That's how I channel, is like through voice. I felt such a strong energetic pull and it was so annoying. It was so intense that I actually started channeling immediately. This was before I started doing any sort of protection mechanisms. I didn't set my intentions. I didn't connect myself up into the cosmos and back down into the center of the earth. I didn't say that I did not want malevolent entities near my channel because the energetic tug was so strong. I just went right into it. And so what ended up happening was there was an entity that came through. I forgot exactly I forgot what their name is, but they came through and they were like, you should be honored to be graced with our presence. And immediately I cut off the channel. I was like, oh my God, the audacity to come to me and think that you could say something like that anytime that an entity wants to overpower you in any way or they try to make you feel less than. That is a red flag.
I 100% agree. And you know what? Also, I mean, isn't that also, I mean, I find it kind of scary because I've been in this like false light kind of thing. I've been like finding out things about that. Like, this is like a few weeks or months back, but I was really into this, like, oh my God, what is false light? And like, I was going into it and I was like, what are these malevolent entities that pretend to be light or whatever, like angels, but then they're not and whatever. And then I heard some people talk about, angelic frequencies are actually such high frequencies that most people cannot really hold that. So what they're actually
Oh,
channeling is
sure.
something else. But then I'm like, okay, but are they maybe channeling just a ET friend that means well, but the thing that their brain can pick it up is an angelic whatever because of the, Abrahamic religions that we all been raised in. So, and so I find it kind of scary, but then I'm like, what actually are even angels? Like we put this word on these beings, but some channels and some people say they're just like frequencies and very, very, things like shifting and like forms more than, obviously human like figure.
Oh, yeah. Like
You know what I
a
mean? So what do you think
consciousness.
about angels?
Oh, this is such a good question. I will say that one time I did channel an angelic collective. And so I'm trying to think back to that experience because there's a part of me that does resonate with what you're saying about them being so high frequency that it's hard for people to channel. So I'm trying to think. Okay, so what's going I'm like asking my guides, and so like what they're saying right now is in that particular channel when I was channeling an angelic collective, they did actually lower their frequency vibration so that they could be sustained within my physical vessel. So there are some who will do that, but it depends on what dimension they're coming from. And these angels, I think were coming from the seventh dimension. I don't really know too much about dimensions other than what they tell me. So, take it as it resonates. But in this specific channel, they were able to like lower their frequency, but they did not stay long. When I was saying that, when I was voice channeling them and I was working with the client, they said, we don't have much time to be channeling through Christine because she cannot sustain the vibration, our frequency. And so we're going to say our message and move on. And that's exactly what happened. So I do agree with what you're saying about the high frequency thing. And I think it just depends on the contracts that the channel has and like who they're meant to be channeling, etc. But to go back to your question of like, what are angels? I feel like I feel like they could be considered extraterrestrial. Like they're not necessarily extraterrestrial just means not from this earth, right? So like I don't think they're from this earth. What do you think about it?
Honestly, I'm also unsure about it. Like I had guests on as well who were like, they are kind of galactic in ETs. And I think I do think though that there is such a thing as an angelic frequency that is not ET in the sense that we think about like Arcturians. Like I think
Yes.
there is something separate there. And so when I was really confused about all of this, right? And I was like spiritual discernment and like, did I actually channel angels? Because I like to work with Archangel Michael or Raphael, whatever these
Hmm.
beings are, because I like to for them to assist me in specific situations. And I feel like it works. So whatever it is, it works. But I felt like my heart said I am channeling these angelic frequencies. So then, but I was confused for a while because I was like, okay, wait, what is this false light? So I really went into this like meditation one day and I was like, is angelic frequency real? Like I need to know that. And then I felt this, I felt it. I don't know how to explain it. And I'm not like an amazing channel like you are. So I don't know, but I
Yes, you
felt in,
are.
thank you. But like I felt in my heart this really high frequency. But, and I think this is also where I want to circle back a bit to the spiritual discernment is it didn't feel like bright white light, all goodness, woo. It felt more like a peace
I
and
love that.
like just like a presence and
Yes.
like an unconditional kind of being. It
Yes.
wasn't like, yay, peace, love, light, woo, And this is like, what do you think about this?
Oh, I would totally agree because again, the only thing that I can base what I'm saying on right now is on whatever sort of lived experience I've had with the angelics, and I can only remember that one time because I don't actively try to channel them. Um, they only came through because my client had such a connection to them. And so I will agree that when they did come through, the way that I experienced their frequency was that, yes, super high frequency enough for my body to feel pretty exhausted afterwards, but they came through in such a like a soft energy. The way that I was speaking was very soft, pretty quiet. I think I remember actually saying as they were speaking through me, "Can you hear me?" Like, I wasn't she was, like, sitting across from me, like because what happens is when you're channeling, and voice channeling, my consciousness is still there, and I'll speak telepathically to the being who's using my vessel to the client, and so I was telepathically asking the angelic collective to ask my client, "Can you hear me?" And she could, so it is a very soft, subtle energy, but yeah, it's not like I started, like, beaming white light or anything like that.
Oh my God. Girl, I apologize here to you, Christine, and to everyone who's watching. My thoughts are everywhere right now. I have like 11 thoughts at the same
It's
time, and
okay.
I want to and I'm circling from one to another. I swear I don't
Like,
have ADHD. I mean, not that I know of. Okay. So,
not that I
but
got.
okay. So I want to go back to this entity, right? So this entity is like, you should be, honored with our presence and whatever. So, okay. What do we think about because I'm like saying we, I'm like merging with your consciousness. What do we think
Yeah,
about
that's totally fine.
about I don't know how to say this. Like, humans always want the guidance, and they always want to kind of put something on the pedestal and be
Yep.
like, please tell me what to do. And it's like this religious. I'm sorry for everyone who's religious. I really mean this with all the love. My family's religious. I have nothing against
Same.
religion. But like, I feel like we are so trained in this, like, what does this other person tell me to do? And it must be on such a higher pedestal. And like, it is so sneaky. It's so tricky. It is so brainwashing. It is so making you question your own not knowing and gnosis inside, right? Like, please, can you talk about this, Christine? What's your thought about this?
Yeah, I often tell my clients, you don't need me. You don't need me to tell you any sort of guidance. You already know, you're just seeking validation. And so this is actually typically something that comes from my own consciousness when I talk to clients, because me, Christine, I really believe that. But anytime I channel ETs, they say that often. They're always like, wait, like, you don't need to seek external validation of your own internal knowing. But I understand too, just the way that we are in our awakening right now is like people are just confused more than anything. So I think that they're looking more for clarity. And then we plant those seeds as channelers, readers, healers, etc., and then you're able to do it all yourself. And so I 100% think that we can all read ourselves, we can all be connected. We shouldn't be seeking external influence like ETs. I never, again, I have no freaking clue why I'm doing this. I never even liked aliens. Like I never even watched Star Trek. Star Wars, never liked it. Like I don't know how I've been put in this position, but of course I'm forever thankful for it because there's so many beautiful benefits to it. But at the same time, I was never seeking it, and I think that's why my connection is so clear to them, because I was never in that attachment of seeking for external validation outside of myself. And most of the time, that is what actually blocks somebody's channel and blocks their intuition, is this seeking, this attachment. I need to become more psychic, I need to do this. And where that typically stems from, and you might know this with the inner wounding and shadow work that you do, what that typically stems from is this thought and belief that you are not as valuable if you do not have those psychic abilities or that connection to talk to ETs, etc. I, quite frankly, I really never cared to talk to them. And I think it's because I've always held a certain level of self-love within myself and belief within myself. Of course, I have self-doubt here and there because every human does, but I think that that's something one should consider when they should really tap into their intuition, but they're wanting to actually talk to ETs instead. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think it's also similar. It's like this whole thing. It's like the whole, oh my God, do you know that meme where it's like, um, and I wouldn't want to say there's levels to this at all. It's just a funny meme, okay? So I don't
Yeah,
want anyone to be triggered, but it's like this thing of like, beginner starter kit of being a spiritual person, and it's like all these like crystals and blah, and then higher level, whatever, next level of a spiritual person. It's like just a black coffee and a cigarette, and it's
I
kind
know
of like,
exactly which meme you're talking about. I love that meme so much. I love it because at a certain point you realize like, oh, well shit, we're just here to be humans and do experiences anyway. So like you take the cigarette and the coffee. I resonate so much with that meme. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and I think what I mean by that as well, like, yes, first of all, yeah, like be human, and like second of all, also, I'm not saying like smoke whatever you want to do, but like, I mean, it's like the whole when people first spiritually awaken, they're like, okay, I need to just do what everyone is doing. Like, I need the crystals. I need the like, no, you don't need any of that. You can, but and
Hmm.
I have some crystals, but I'm not someone who's like particularly drawn to working with them all the time. Like I'd rather sit with my plant. I actually talk with my plants. Like for me,
I
those
love
are like entities that I get some wisdom sometimes from. Like everyone is so different. Like there's no look to being a spiritual person, and I think people get really like caught up in this. And I get it. Like, and I think it's beautiful if you're into that, do it if it feels right. But if it feels right instead to look like a goth girl, whatever you want to do, or to still smoke cigarettes, do it. Like there's no way, no right or wrong way to be a spiritual being. You know what I mean?
it. And I think it takes people time to understand that. I think you have to
Mm.
hit, and of course, everybody's journey is different, but I think that you hit a certain phase in your awakening when you can finally just like understand that and let things go. Because anytime that somebody's forcing something on you, like, oh my gosh, you have to be vegan to be more spiritual, or oh my gosh, you have to have crystals to be more spiritual. Again, there's like this fear of not being valuable if you don't have those things, you know? So, like, if you're just authentically living a life of alignment, you do this because it resonates with you, or you do this because you're interested in it, then that is what spirituality is, in my opinion. That is a healed person or a person on a healing journey. And that's what awakening is. It's just healing and becoming more authentically you.
Yeah, and I love that so much. And I think also, like a lot of people talk about authenticity being the highest vibration lately. And I love it because I've been saying this for like 10 years. Like, I think authenticity is like one of the coolest things like a human can be, like becoming more like our inner child. So I
Yeah.
think what you talk a lot about, like you just talk a lot about like just being yourself. And I think, yeah, I think that's so cool. So, and the thing with your father as well, right? Like you're sitting there in front and you guys are just being you. Like,
Oh my God. I love, yes, Alien Talks with Dad. For newer listeners, I go on with my dad, Alien Talks with Dad, on live TikTok and Instagram every other week on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And so that is literally us just shooting the shit, talking about and it's
yeah.
so funny because people, I swear, people come just so they can listen to him. Like there's a little bit of jealousy within me a little bit because people love him because he is like I think that I can be pretty authentic. I really do try, but like my dad is just himself no matter what. So he's funny. I love it.
It is so cool because it's kind of like becoming your inner child again. And it's like, oh, like I was always meant to be this, like just again, like cleaning the window. Um, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about now reppies, okay? So I know some people watch your stuff as well because you talk openly about this. And can you tell me a little bit about the reppies, like your experience with them?
Oh, oh my gosh. Well, I've got so many. It's so funny because this is actually I first started posting on TikTok mostly about the reppies because I knew that there was not actually a lot of people talking about them back in 2024. And so it's so interesting because looking back at my stories and my experiences then, it's like there's been such a shift in my perspective of them. But nonetheless, I still have so many different stories. So do you want to hear more of the malevolent ones? Do you want to hear benevolent stories? Do you want a little bit of a mix?
Like a mix as well, but like maybe we can start with the evil ones.
Oh, the evil ones, yes. Oh, they're great. These ones, I'm just kidding. So, well, actually, I think that people might be most interested in hearing about the ways in which a reppy can be around you. And I'll talk a little bit more about my experience as well. And I'll talk more about the malevolent ones because there's so many different ways that a reppy can be around you in the 3D physical reality because they are non-physical. Most of the time they're non-physical. And so they can be around you without you even knowing. I was actually just doing, this is so funny. Not my guides are reminding me of this right now. I was doing a video response for somebody who submitted a question to me. So like people submit questions to me, I'll channel and send them a video. And during the channeling session, I was actually talking about an experience that this client had with a reppy. She sent me a question about, oh, like, can you clarify what this experience was? Because she had some weird levitation experience and sleep paralysis. So I went into trance, I started channeling, I started telling her that it was actually a reppy who was taking her and all this kind of stuff. And as I was talking about the reppy, it actually came right next to me and stood right next to me as I was channeling. And it was like, it was pretty tall. Oh, I actually have something I can share. So I know that not everybody can see on video, but right now I'm sharing like this is it's a dinosaur looking pyrite crystal. And so it looked very similar to this, to be honest. This is what it looked like. But of course it's non-physical, so I see it in my mind's eye as I'm channeling. And so as I'm channeling, it's the Lyrans who are coming through. The Lyrans kind of paused and I paused and I told the Reppy, I'm like, you're not allowed anywhere near me. What are you doing? And so it did go away, but it did have malevolent intent because I could feel that it was just trying to like stalk me and trying to intimidate my channel. But because I've had so many different experiences with them, I have more of a neutral perspective about them right now. And so that was my latest experience with a Reppy in the non-physical, and they can come to you in that way. A lot of other times that people experience them is in the dream state. I had a dream not too long ago, and I'll kind of try to keep it short because it is a longer dream, but I do talk about it on my podcast as well. And long story short, I was in this dream with my grandmother. My grandmother and I were sitting outside a cafe, and she had like a gold ring on her finger, and these two like hoodlums is what I would call it. These two hoodlums came by and stole the ring off of her finger, and I was screaming at them. I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's like a 90-year-old woman. You just stole her ring." The guy turns around. He looks human, but then his face kind of shifts into like a lizard. His eyes are super green, and then he stares at me, and talking to him telepathically in the dream. And this is a real thing that like it's not just a dream. When we have these experiences, they're real in the astral, is my belief. And so I'm like telling him, I'm like, you can't intimidate me. What are you trying to do? So he's staring at me, and then he like levitates me with his eyes, and I go flying up super duper fast, like to the point where it scared me enough to wake me up. And he was a reptilian shapeshifter in this dream. So you can experience them in the dream state as well. So there's a lot to unpack there. Did you have any questions about those experiences before I go to more benevolent ones?
Yeah, just like kind of okay. I also had a rappy dream before, but it was more like them not allowing us to do shit, and I was like, what the fuck? And like I woke up and I was like, this is stupid. Um, but yeah, so I absolutely believe dreams are real. Oh my god, yeah, different, of course. But what I want to ask there as well is, do you think like I talked with Gia about this a little? Well, did I talk? I talked with her about celebrities, but like do you think so? So I heard some sort of government official, ex-government, whatever video I found online who talked about like how they take over these celebrities or over these people, and they attach themselves somehow, like from almost like behind or something. But obviously in the spiritual realm, do you see the same thing? Like how do they take over really?
Yeah, so it's so funny that you're bringing this up because I just had an experience during a live group channeling session where I was channeling for a group of it was a group of more so acquaintances, like friends of friends, so I didn't actually know them, but I wanted to get more experience doing live group in-person events, and one of the participants actually had a reptilian attachment. Oh my God, it was the most bizarre thing I had ever experienced because it's so funny. Immediately, because I'm still developing my clairvoyance. So that's the psychic ability of seeing. So I don't always see, but I feel and I know. Those are my strongest. Oh, and I hear. So those are my strongest psychic abilities. And so as I was driving to this group channeling event, I just got the message clairaudiently, you're going to have a disruption in your channel. And I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious? Come on. Like, why does it have to be? And so in the beginning of the event, I actually had some like tech issues, and I was like, oh, this is what they were talking about. It's just minor tech issues. Well, it was not minor tech issues. I was like taking each participant one by one, and they were doing a Q&A with, I think I was channeling the Lyrans at the time. And I got to her energy, and it was oh my God. The only way that I can explain it, because I wasn't afraid, I didn't even initially know that it was a reptilian to begin with until after the channel. So I'll explain how I knew that then. But the only thing I can describe is the attachment itself was speaking through her. And the way that I intuitively knew that it was doing this was because not only would her voice change, but anytime she would say something that was inauthentic or felt like a lie, I was like, oh, this is the reptilian attachment. And so, yes, what they do is she had no idea that she had this attachment to her. She was just a very psychic, open person, and that's how it was attached to her. But I also feel like there was a lot of karma involved. So this attachment was not going away anytime soon. Like it was just there. And I clarified with my guides as I was in the channel, I was telepathically asking them, I'm like, is it a reptilian that's attached to her? And they kept telling me reptilian. So I kept hearing it in my mind. And then after the channel, when we closed down the session, I was like, show me signs, show me signs, because you still even doubt it when you experience it, because we're human. And I kept seeing, like, I saw this little green dragon figurine. I'm like, that's my sign for reptilian. One of my friends actually said the word, oh, I'm sorry, reppy. One
It's
of
fine.
my
It's fine.
friends actually said reppy. And it was like, okay, so I got all of the signs. Um, and now looking back, I can definitely feel the energy of how big it was around her, but I didn't actually like see it clairvoyantly unless I want to tap in, but I don't really want to. It's like it is what it is. you know?
Wow. Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to. I'm like right now, like shielding the field.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know, I had it's so fascinating to me because it's like these people with really good intentions and like open up psychically and like they want to, right? And then it's like this thing where I'm like, do you need protection or do you just do the shadow work? Is shadow work the protection? Like, as a shadow work girly, I'm like, I think shadow work often is the protection. But I think for a lot of people who don't do the active shadow work, yes, like protection can be very good. But I still do protection at the same time as well. Like, actually, yesterday I did one before I went to sleep and I just kind of like to, surround myself with like protection and everything. But it's just so scary that these people, right? Like people with really good intentions, like normal, good people, not just these psychopathic, Hollyweird people, but like normal people, right? Like I like can be can have these attachments, but not just reppies, but like just like I guess like malevolent, like just entities feeding off of you. And like I've heard some people say, demons are not really what we think they are. It's more like these vampire energies that are really harmful more than demons. Like, I don't know. I'm still looking for someone to come on my podcast to talk more on that. But, I think we can have
A
this.
reference. I know
Yeah, please.
someone to reach out to. Yeah, I'll give you her name.
Okay, maybe actually we're thinking about the same person, and I might be actually already in contact. But for sure, give me
Okay.
the. But this is the thing, right? Like it's like we can have all of these kinds of attachments, right? Like not just reppies, like also entities that just like siphon our energies.
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say for something like a reppy attachment, like in the experience that I had with the live channeling, again, most of the time it is something that is karmic. There's contracts involved. There's not much that one can do. It's just sometimes the soul's choice to experience it. And so that's what I say that because I don't want people to be too fearful about attachments. I will say though that parasitic entities are super annoying, and they're like mosquitoes that come around you who try to attach to you and try to lower your vibe. And I have experienced those a lot as of late, the more and more I come online about channeling and trying to be more of the light. And so you'll notice a parasitic entity around you if you have a thought that comes to you that's not your own, something that's like super mean or something that's like, oh, go jump off of a bridge. Like, have you ever had those parasitic thoughts like just come to you out of nowhere?
Yeah, like for me, I would say, oh my God, it's so cool that we're talking about this because like I I think it's the thoughts that are, as you said, mean, not self-loving, all of a sudden kind of thing. Also, like I had this thing the other day where I was doing something and then I had this thought that was like doubtful of myself. And I was like, this is weird. And again, as a shadow work person, I'm just like, I always work on these things, but I feel like often, and I talked with my best friend about this the other day because we both love shadow work, but I was like, once you do the shadow work and you do the healing, I also think it's kind of important to kind of state with your free will. I do not consent to this. I don't want this around me. No, that's not who I am. I'm actually
Yes.
not. I'm actually not this thing that you're telling me I am. And I know it sounds like a bit psycho because people have these doubtful thoughts and they think it's them, but I don't think thoughts are us. And I
I
think
agree.
we can actually say no and end the consent fully, like, you know what I mean? Like just consciously say no. That's actually not what I agree to anymore.
Yeah.
What do you
And
think about this? Because I found it's powerful.
if you really want for them to run away and to not bother you, send them authentic and genuine love. They hate that shit. They hate that. And so here's the thing. It's kind of hard to be able to send parasitic entities or vampiric entities or even reppies to send them actual, authentic, genuine love. But I've got a story about this actually in case it works for people. And this goes for anything, the thoughts that come to you, anything that seems malevolent. One day I was going to bed and I was not even in the liminal space yet of the in between. I had just literally hit my head on the pillow and I was very much conscious and awake. And this reppy walks into my bedroom. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And the reason I knew it was a reppy is because, of course, it's one of those things where you have to trust your intuition. And the more you open your channel and your psychic abilities, you just experience these things a little bit more. So not just trusting of the energy and trusting in my own intuition, but also like I heard the word reppy in my mind. And so that's how I knew. And I started singing the song, We Are Family. We are family.
Oh
That
my God.
song. Because I started thinking authentically and genuinely how, okay, even this reppy is a part of me. Like we are all one. We all come from source, all of that jazz. I really genuinely started singing that song and it hated that. It hated that. I heard, because I actually heard the physical footsteps walk in. Even though it's a non physical entity, they can still make their appearance known to scare you even more by making outside noises. And so it started like going back into the kitchen as soon as I started singing. So when you send these negative forces, true authentic love, and you actually mean it and you feel it from your heart chakra. So you have to do some shadow work to be able to get to this point. But when you get to that point, they will either get away from you or you'll actually send it into the light. You'll be able to transmute that energy.
I love that you said that as well. Yes. Like it depends really on my mood as well, but I sometimes do that too. And I think it is absolutely possible because also it's like this thing of like, I think love is almost like it is the strongest force in the universe. Like there is nothing that, like even the things that we see as evil in its highest, I guess, in the highest like perspective, it is all just something that forgot that it's light, that forgot that it's love and source and God. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like a really smart, beautiful thing, but it has to be kind of genuine. So, you're not always in that kind of mood and like, capacity to do that. But that's a really powerful story. I love that.
Yeah. And the energetic boundaries, I think, is so important too. Like you said, like not giving them consent and just saying no and setting up the boundaries. Because what happened with the individual who had the reppy attachment in the channeling session, she had zero energetic boundaries. She loved the feeling of being powerful and it seemed as though she allowed for anything to come through. And this is how I think attachments were able to come around her, is because when you open yourself up like that, you open yourself up to anything. However, the fact that she wanted to open herself up to so many things again shows this very deep inner wound of I am not valuable unless I have these abilities. And the truth is, we all have these abilities. You just forget you do, and then ego gets involved and attachments get involved. And isn't life wild?
It is so wild. It's so wild, girl. But okay, so then you also, wanted to talk a little bit about these like benevolent rappies. So they actually are not well known.
Yeah, they're not, they definitely have a bad reputation. So this is so interesting. The common themes and the common past lives that I'm finding between me specifically and a lot of my clients. So, anytime that I attract a client who has a lot of reppy energy around them, I find that if they booked specifically a one-on-one session with me when we get to talk face to face, I find that most of the time it is because there is some sort of connection between me, them, and the reppies from a past life. So I know that I actually have had reppy past lives. I think that actually most of us had. You probably have as well because you understand shadow work and you are really trying to bring more light into this world. And so in order to do that, I believe you needed to have had some more shadowy lifetimes. I don't know if you agree or take that as it resonates, but I know that when I first sparked, I guess, off of Source, one of my first physical incarnations was actually as a draconian. This is something that my spiritual mentor had told me. And so I had different dark lifetimes, and my soul chose, okay, I don't want dark anymore. I want to focus on the light. So I think that's why I started coming out cosmic and started talking a lot about the Reppies, because I do have some sort of innate connection to them. But anyway, back to the clients that I attract, I go back into a lot of their past lives and I see, what is this connection? Where is this Reppy energy coming from? And a lot of times it comes from a renegade group of Reppies who were benevolent, who were trying to stop the malevolent Reppies from taking over different planets, universes, etc. There were many, many galactic wars that went on. And so I have found that these people are somehow finding me, and I'm like, yo, we were together in this past life as Reppies, and we were working together to try to bring up the benevolence of the species so that we can help in other ways, such as maybe coming back here as humans and trying to get rid of the malevolent Reppies. I find that a lot of, and I'm getting full body chills as I say that. Okay, so maybe there's a connection here with you as well. Okay, they're saying that there is. Do you feel any sort of resonance with having had past lives as a Reppy?
I've never felt into that, but I can absolutely imagine that. Yeah, why not?
It's
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because I am also like, I'm a Taurus, but I have like some Scorpio in my chart, and I feel like I'm always like trying to transmute the dark. So I am very much, yeah.
Yes. So there are and have been renegade groups of Reppies who are more benevolent, who are trying to help for the benevolence of humanity. And so Um, that is one of the, I guess, past life experiences that I found with the more benevolent Reppies. But also, I will say that I do have a Reppy guide who is female. Her name is, oh, a lot of times when guides give you a name, it is because there's some sort of resonance to the name, not very much that that is the name that they use in the galactic space, but because there's some sort of resonance to the name that I would have or that you would have with the name. So the name that comes through with my Reppy guide is Matilda. I don't know why. I love that movie, by the way. I feel like it has something to do with the magic, the alchemy of it. I'm not really sure. But she actually came through. I channeled her, and I only channel high vibrational entities for the highest good. And so she came through when she was telling another one-on-one client about a draconian guide that he had that's like 14 feet tall that like helps him because this one-on-one client had a very dark human incarnation in this lifetime. He was going through a lot of drug use, etc. And so he had just started coming out of that shadow. And so it was important for him to know about this guide who is a benevolent Draco, and hopefully YouTube doesn't give you too much crap for for me saying that word. Reppy can usually be, with the Wikipedia sign, but there are benevolent guides who are with us as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also one of my guests, Awaken with Willow, I don't know if you know him, like he talked about how, the negative reppies are kind of like an offspring. Like it's kind of like, it's not everyone. It's kind of like saying all of humanity is bad or all of humanity is good. But I like to always validate that the negative entities too, because I'm like, yeah, it is real and it is happening. And it is now all coming out as well with the E-list, you
Yes.
know?
Oh,
And as you said, oh my God, you said in that one short of yours, you were like saying, it's not about left or right, like Republican, Democratic. I'm not American, so I don't care about that. But it's so true. It's not about these politics, it's about ETs or evil ETs against humanity. That's literally what it is. Like, or evil versus good, we could say, it's like a spiritual like warfare. But yeah, he said
yes.
as well, like how, a lot of these benevolent reppies have obviously a bad reputation, a bad rap.
Yeah.
And sorry, so, but yeah, so I think, you know what, I have never felt into that, but what I have felt into lately is because I've helped actually some of these trapped souls who are stuck in in the victim of what is happening on these islands and on the ships and whatever the fuck these people are underground. So I've like felt into these like poor like souls of these like babies, humans, children, and I like kind of helped them kind of like find back into, that they're not stuck there. Because I think sometimes when you die in like very traumatizing circumstances, you just don't know that you're dead. It's, I don't know, it's crazy, but I've kind of helped those entities. What I realized as well is like in this lifetime, obviously everyone has trauma, and in this lifetime I have like trauma with my own like parents and upbringing, and like a, you know, in like more of a normal trauma way, I want to say. But I have never ever in my whole life doubted the most disgusting things that a human can do, and I'm not someone who can imagine these things. Like what I mean is like I'm not sitting there like when I read horrific stuff, it impacts me for like 2 3 weeks until I can get over that. Like that's why I don't look at it anymore. But the thing is, why is it that I innately know it's happening? I
Yeah.
know it's real
Yeah.
because I think I've been a victim of that in maybe other lifetimes. Like I can absolutely see that in myself. So I have never doubted the darkness. The darkest darkness is where people are like, that's not real. That can never be. Like, yeah, it can happen and it is happening and it's always been happening. And I've never questioned that. And I've
Yeah.
never doubted the victims. Like, why would I ever? Like, why would people make shit like that up? And even if they make that up, how traumatized do they have to be to, you know, believe that something like that's happening? Like, what does that even mean to make things up? You know, sorry if anyone is resonating
Yeah.
with this, but like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
It
yeah.
totally resonates. I feel like a lot of people, if they do deny the darkness, it's just out of fear. They don't want to believe it. They don't even try to accept it. And that's okay because everyone's on their own awakening journey. And one day they may start seeing that darkness come through. And that's why people like you, people like who are listening to this podcast, we're all going to have to band together and help these lost souls as well. I know that you're talking more about the people who are trying to cross and stuff, but I think that there's a lot of lost people here in the physical human incarnation right now who don't really know what to do with all of that stuff. And so I always say that, hey, there's a lot of different contracts involved that we can't even understand. And so I always find solace in that, that there's just so many different things that are meant to be that we can't understand. And it's such an incredible, pivotal time to be alive right now to shine our light in whatever way that we can. And I did wanna say too that, like, it's so interesting you brought up how you think that maybe you had experiences with, like, the trafficking or the darkness, because when I first had my first alien contact experience when I was living in Mexico, I started becoming so deeply interested in human trafficking. I don't know why. It came out of nowhere. I started watching documentaries on it. I was like, why am I so interested? I'm getting the chills as I say this.
Me
I really
too.
think that, yeah,
Full
I
body.
know you've had this experience. I
But you
think we
too.
both have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, I definitely feel like we both have had those different experiences. But hey, look, people go so this might actually be something that helps people to get over the trauma of all of that darkness is like we have had that, if that resonates, you know, we have had that type of lifetime and we came back and we're just fine and now we're light workers, you know? So there's always some sort of hope.
For sure. And that's kind of like, I know the time is crazy, but like, you know, for the, oh my God, this was like such a deep conversation in the end. So I try to like end it on a lighter note. But what I wanted to ask you maybe for everyone who's listening, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you talk to these benevolent entities, the Lyrans and stuff, and like and other benevolent ETs and entities as well, and maybe also your own heart, you know, your own higher self. So what is like kind of like a message that you would give to the viewers today for like a hopeful message? Because I think hope is something we need right now as well in
Oh
this
my
moment.
God. Do you want me to give the message or do you want me to bring in a collective?
Yes, please bring in the collective, bring them in.
Oh my God, this is gonna be so fun. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water because I mean they've been listening. They're going like this right now. Like they're showing me their ear.
I
Okay,
love
so
that.
before I'm gonna put my hair aside because I get like hot. Well, now I look like I'm naked, so hold on a second. Let me put this back. So I do before I channel, I do have like a little bit of like a spiel or a spiel. I always say that wrong. So I'll kind of talk through. This would actually be a good way to end in terms of teaching people about discernment and like protection, energy, etc. So like I'll kind of talk through how I go into my channel and then I'll see who wants to come through. So you'll notice for anybody who's actually watching, my body is starting to move because it's starting to get acclimated to the cosmic energy around me. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting around a bubble of white light around myself. And I would ask for you to do the same. Anybody listening as well, just bubble up and intend for the highest good always. Right now, I'm connecting myself up into the cosmos and back down into the center of the earth. My intention is to only connect with benevolent beings of the highest good, of unconditional love, authenticity, joy. Low vibrational entities are not allowed anywhere near this channel. I am a divine channel of white light source protection. Who wants to come through and give an ending message here for our people who are listening? Oh, yes, these are the Lyrans who are stepping forward now. We are the collective that typically works mostly with Christine. And so that is why we're stepping forward to give an ending message here and to raise the vibration a little bit. Because, yes, we understand that some of this podcast was a little bit more on the shadowy side. We want to confirm, however, that this conversation, no matter what, was still high vibrational. Yes, there were some parts of shadow, but we want for the listeners to understand that this is the world in which humans reside. There's both the shadow and the light. And so we want for you to understand that if you felt triggered or if you felt any sort of discontent during anything that was spoken about during this episode, that is just an aspect, of course, of your shadow that needs to be healed. And so we wanted to also give a little bit more of a message here. Give us 1 second as we download some information to Christine. 1 second. Hmm. Very good. So we're wanting for everyone to know that for those of you who are listening to this podcast and who are resonating with this podcast and who may resonate with Coming Out Cosmic as well, we want you to know that you are a galactic soul in a human body. There is no doubt here that every single person who is resonating with this specific episode is a galactic soul within a human body. For us, this would signify a star seed. However, there are very many different terminologies that one can use to define what they mean. And so take, as always, take what words resonate for you. And so we do know that very many listeners right now, because of course we can tap into future timelines. And even though this is being recorded presently, we can tap into the listeners who will listen to this now and in the future. And we want you all to know that every single one of you has a distinct mission here on Earth. Every single one of you has a unique light and energetic signature that is needed. Mother Gaia needs you. We need you. The Lyrans are saying that, and all of your galactic guides are saying that as well. We need you to be in your highest frequency and to be in your highest joy. So, if you take anything from this podcast episode, please understand that you are light. You are meant to live a joy. You are meant to live a life of joy and within your highest authenticity. So, please do not fear. Do not fear coming out cosmic. Do not fear talking about your alien experiences because we can assure you with 100% certainty that this is going to be extremely normal in your society within years to come. And so, with that, we wanted to let you all know that we watch. We love you all very much. We are so, so, so proud of humanity and the way in which you guys have all grown. You guys are our children. You guys are our babies. And we love each and every one of you. And so, with that, we are going to bring back the channel. Yes. Okay, I'm back.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Such a different energy. That was
It's so funny. So when I come back, I'm like, I peek with one eye open and I'm like, okay, where am I? Because yes, okay. Sorry, continue. I cut you off because I was just like, where am I?
no. Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh my God, that was amazing. I love that. Wow, that was really cool. I firsthand, for the first time, actually witnessed the channeling of the Lyrians. So, Lyrans?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lyrans, people pronounce it differently. They don't care what pronunciation. Um, they're saying so long as you recognize or not recognize, but so long as you acknowledge, and they don't mean this in a condescending way, but so long as you just acknowledge our energetic our energy, it doesn't matter what you call us, is what they're saying.
They seem very like proud in a good way, like
Oh my
very
God.
like that's what I
Yeah.
picked up from them, like knowledgeable and intelligent as well, right? Like very intelligent energy.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's why I love working with them so much because I find that mostly when I'm channeling them, the information flows very easily. And so as a channel, you have to practice the different energies that you channel. So I started channeling Mother Gaia's energy. Oh my God, so soft, beautiful, sweet. She actually makes, the first time I channeled her, I started crying and I broke out of trance. I channeled her energy today for a one-on-one and my client started crying. It's just like a completely different energy. But you do have to like practice, because it's not just a practice for the physical vessel, aka me or the channel, but it's a practice for the energy coming in too. Like sometimes they haven't actually experienced a human channel before. So I like that you're picking up on the nuances, because
Yeah.
it's different.
Very different energy. Like, absolutely. I feel like Gaia as well, so interesting. I've been connecting a little bit to her lately and just about the shape of the earth and like what's going on with all of the stuff. Like, and she was giving me some answers that were like so interesting. And then I got like it was so cool. Honestly, so beautiful to connect to these different energies. Thank you so much for that. That was so cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so Christine, at the end of like all of my episodes, is what I do is like just a little rapid fire round. So what is one word to describe the universe?
Big.
What is a sign that you always trust?
A ladybug.
That's so cool. How would you describe fear in a positive way?
Expansion.
Mm.
Are these supposed to be one words? You said one word, right? Okay.
One or two or whatever, like short. What is the biggest lesson you learned through all of this?
Self-love.
Love that. And my last one that I ask everyone is, what is love to you?
The highest, most beautiful frequency.
I love
Well,
that. Thank
actually,
you
I
so much.
kind of take that back, because authenticity is, but you know what I mean. They're very
Yes.
similar to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. It's so much fun. Thank you. This was so wonderful.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's such an honor to be here, and I appreciate your time and energy as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys, everyone, for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and everything. And all of the information about Christine is in the video description below, as always. And I had so much fun. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.